Lesson 18, I will find whole number, quotient, and remainders. So we've been working on using long division to find a whole number of quotients and remainder. If we talk about finding the quotient of a whole number, that just means a number that's not a decimal or a fraction. So we are going to continue to work on dividing whole numbers and finding their quotients and remainders. So in your math journal, go ahead and get that ready for today. We're going to do 2 problems. So make sure that you write in there very neatly and that you can read your own handwriting. That's really important. Okay, first of all, we're going to take 57 divided by 3, and we're going to use a place value chart. I want you to go ahead and put 57 place value disk inside your place value chart, and I also want you to get over onto the side, be ready to do long division by putting 57 divided by 3. We're going to work through these at the same time. All right, so in your place value chart, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3 groups. So I've got 5, I'm going to divide it by 3. So let's see what that would look like. All right, so when I take 5 and divide it by 3, I can put 1 in each group. Okay, I marked off the 3 and I have 1 in each group. So when I come over here to do my long division, I put 1, my quotient's 110. I have 110 in each group. 1 times 3 is 3. That leaves a remainder of 2 tens. So now I'm going to decompose these 2 tens. That means I'm going to take 2 tens and move them to the ones. So instead of 7 ones, I'm going to have 27 ones. So go ahead and put 20 more ones in your place value chart. All right, so you're going to end up with a box that looks like this. So now we have 27 ones, and we're going to distribute them into groups of 3. I always like to think to myself, well, how many times does 3 go into 27? And I know that 9 times 3 is 27, so that's going to help me with distributing these ones. All right, so once I distributed them, I have 9 ones here, 9 ones here, and 9 ones here. You may need to pause the video, or not may need to pause the video, you will need to pause the video to get caught up with me because I obviously did that really quickly. It's going to take you a little bit more time. So since I have 9 ones in each group, I have 9 times 3, which is 27, so I have a remainder of 0. So my quotient is 19, and if I look at my place value chart, I can see I have 1, 10, and 9 ones. So my quotient is also 19. All right, so let's check our multiplication problem by doing 19 times 3. I want you to go ahead and solve 19 times 3 and see if you do get 57. All right, this is what I got. I did get 57. So 57 divided by 3 is 19. All right, we're going to do one more problem in our place value chart. We're going to do 86 divided by 5. So I want you to make your place value chart just like you see here. And I want you to get ready to do long division. So make sure that you have 5 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's really easy to make a silly mistake when you're using this place value chart. That's why this strategy is not the most efficient. It works. It shows you how to divide, but it's not the strategy that once we understand division we want to use. We're going to use long division because it's much more efficient, but you have to be very careful when you're making these boxes. So we're going to start by dividing the tens. So I want you to go ahead and distribute the tens into 5 groups and see what you get. All right, you should have had 1 10 in each group with 3 tens left over. So 1 times 5 is 5, and I have a remainder of 3. That's why I have 3 left over here in the tens place. I have 3 here. So remember, I'm going to decompose these 3 tens by moving them to the ones place. That's going to be a lot, but you can do it. So instead of 6 ones, I'm going to have 36 ones. So go ahead and do that in your place value chart. All right, you should have something that looks like this. That's really teeny tiny, but I promise you there are 36 ones in there. There are 6 groups of 6. So now we're going to distribute 36 into 5 groups. So I think to myself, well, I know 7 times 5 is 35, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up with 7 in each group. I want you to go ahead and distribute and see if you get the same thing as me. All right, when I distributed my ones, I had 7 in each group with 1 left over. So in long division, that's going to look like this. 7, it goes in my quotient. 7 times 5 is 35. I have 1 left over. So my answer is 17, remainder 1. All right, now let's check this. Let's take 17, which is our quotient, and multiply it by our divisor, which is 5, and let's see what we get. All right, so I get 35. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. I'm going to add my remainder. I get 86. So 17 remainder 1 is the correct answer. All right, let's start with our problem set. You're going to notice when you read the directions on your problem set that it just says solve using standard algorithm. That means solve using long division. You do not have to use a place value chart. If you would like to draw a place value chart to help you, you're more than welcome to do that, but we're not going to do that on this problem set. But if you need to do it, you can pause the video and do it on your own. All right, so we're going to do 46 divided by 2 using long division. So I'm going to start by dividing my tens. So if I take 4 and divide it by 2, I'm going to have 2 2's in each group because 2 times 2 is 4. So that's going to leave me with no remainders in the tens place. And then I'm going to divide the ones. There are 6 ones. So 2 goes into 6 3 times because 3 times 2 is 6. So that's going to leave me with no remainder. Now you notice it also says check your quotient remainder. So now we have to check 23 times 2, that gives me 6, 4, gives me 46. So my answer is correct. If you feel like you can do this one by yourself, go ahead and try doing 96 divided by 3. All right, so I take 9 divided by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3 with no remainder. Now I'm going to divide the ones. 6 divided by 3 is 2 with no remainder. 6 minus 6 is 0. So now I'm going to check. 32 times 3, that gives me 96. Try to do this one by yourself. If not, you can stay with me and I'll walk you through it, but eventually you should be able to try at least part of this by yourself. Do as much as you can by yourself, and then when you get stuck, you can always press play. All right, so if I'm going to take 8 and divide it by 5, that means I'm going to have 1 in each group. 1 times 5 is 5, so I'm going to have 3 tens left over. So I'm going to take these 3 tens and add them to the 5, and now I have 35 ones. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 7 times 5 is 35. That leaves me with a remainder of 0. So now I'm going to check. 17 times 5. 7 times 5 is 35. 1 times 5 is 5 plus 3 is 8. I get 85. All right, again, if you feel like you can do this one by yourself, please try to do it by yourself and then come back to check with me. All right, so 5 divided by 4 would be 1, because 1 times 4 is 4, and that's as close as I can get to 5 without going over. 5 minus 4 is 1, so I have a remainder of 110. I'm going to bring down my 2, so now I have, instead of 110, I have 12 ones. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 minus 12 is 0. So let's check. 13 times 4 gives me 52, so the answer is correct. All right, so let's do 5 and 6. Again, if you feel like you can do this by yourself, go for it. Just come back with me and check, please. So I've got 53 divided by 3. 5 divided by 3 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. That leaves a remainder of 2 tens. I'm going to add these 2 tens to the 3 ones, and now I have 23 ones. 23 divided by 3 is 7, because 7 times 3 is 21, and that's as close as I can get without going over. That leaves me with a remainder of 2. So 17 times 3, I'm going to check, is going to give me 21. It's going to give me 51. I'm going to add my remainder. I have 53. So let's try the last one on this page on the front. 95 divided by 4. So 4 goes into 9 2 times, because 2 times 4 is 8. That's going to leave a remainder of 110. I'm going to add this 110 to 5 ones. That gives me 15. So 3 times 4 is 12. That's as close as I can get without going over. So I have 23, remainder 3. So I'm going to check that. 23 times 4 gives me 12 here, will be 8 plus 1, which is 9, plus 3 gives me a total of 95. All right, let's look at the back. All right, so I've got 89 divided by 6. I want you to try to do as much of these problems as you can by yourself and then come back and check. All right, so 8 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times 6 is 6. That gives me a remainder of 2 tens. I'm going to add the 2 tens to my 9 ones. 29 divided by 6 is going to be 4. That's 4 times 6 is 24. That leaves a remainder of 5. Remember, your remainder should always be smaller than your divisor. All right, now I'm going to check. 14 times 6 gives me 24. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 84. Plus 5 gives me 89. All right, let's try 96 divided by 6. 96 divided by 6. There is 1 6 in 9, so 1 times 6 is 6. That leaves a remainder of 3 tens. I'm going to add the 3 tens to my 6 ones. Now I've got 36 divided by 6. Well, I know 6 times 6 is 36, so it has to be 6 remainder 0. So now I'm going to check 16 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 96. So let's try 60 divided by 3. But you can figure this one out without long division. I know 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6. That's going to give me a 0 in the tens place. And then when I bring the 0 down the ones place, I still have to put a 0 up here because there has to be, the 0 has to be my placeholder. Okay, so 0 times 3 is 0. I have a remainder of 0. 20 times 3, 60. 60 divided by 4. 6 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. That leaves 2. So I have 21s. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. That leaves me with a remainder of 0. So let's check. 15 times 4. Carry my 2. Gives me 60. Try to do these last two problems by yourself. And if you get stuck, all you have to do is press play. And I will help you. But I want you to do as much of it as you can by yourself. That will help you to remember the steps better. I've got 95 divided by 8. There is 1 8 and 9, so 1 times 8 is 8. 9 minus 8 is 1. I'm going to add this 1 10 to 5 ones. There is only 1 8 in 15 because 2 8s would be 16 and that's too much. 15 minus 8 is 7. I have 11, remainder 7. So now I'm going to check. 11 times 8 is 88 plus 7 gives me 5. Right now I've got 95 divided by 7. Right, there is 1 9 and 7. That leaves me with a remainder of 2 tens. Add the 2 tens to 5 ones. So I'm thinking 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 7 is 28. That's too much. So 3 times 7 is 21. That leaves a remainder of 4. I'm going to check 13 times 7, which is 21. 7 times 1, which is 7, plus 2 is 9. Plus my remainder gives me 95. If you're having trouble with these problems, my guess is that the problem is more with the multiplication and the division than it is with the process. You need to make sure that you are practicing extra math. If you need to do it at night, at home every night, you can. If you don't have internet access, then you can be just writing out your multiplication facts. If you know your multiplication and your division facts, it's going to make long division so much easier for you. So don't forget to practice.